This is Mitch, and welcome to the 1000houses.com podcast. I would like to thank livecom.com, livecom.com, for sponsoring this episode. It's all about smart phone numbers that capture the incoming caller's cell phone number, puts it in a text distribution list, and man, is that just the beginning. Today, I use Livecom, and I don't even use any signs in front of my houses anymore to sell them. I have 10,000 people that have called my signs in the past. And plus I put out other generic signs, free list of owner financed homes. And I was, hell bent to collect a bunch of numbers. And around 3,000 numbers, I was averaging 9 days on the market and a 10% minimum down payment. At 6,000, I started averaging 4 days on the market and close to 15,000 down, 15% down. And, now I have 10,000 numbers. And I don't even send out to all of them because I'll overload my sales guy with calls. So we just send out to about 6,000 of the 10,000. I can send out those text messages for 2 cents per contact in the distribution list. And there are so many ways to use it. I've been exploring it with a lot of them and trying new things all the time. So if you want to know how I'm doing it and some of the tricks of the trade, how I'm using these smartphone numbers, go to livecom.com, Livecomm, as in live communication, Livecomm.com, and watch the videos on the homepage and start getting a feel for it. All right, today I have a special guest. He's over in Columbus, Ohio. Austin Rutherford. He's a BRRRR method. He's stacking rentals is what we're going to talk about today. How to just keep stacking them up. And boy, you're probably enjoying, I don't know if your real estate market, Austin, is doing what ours is down here, but if all your houses are appreciating like the ones around me, you are becoming a very wealthy man, my friend, if you have any houses at all.
No, absolutely. The market's been wild, crazy appreciation, which is good if you're on the ownership side. So 100%.
Yeah. So people say it's tough to buy houses in these good times of the market, but I'm about to set a personal record. If it keeps going the way it is, I have over 50 acquisitions already in the just past the first quarter. So I usually do about 100 deals a year just because that's kind of where we leveled out, and it's kind of where the office structure and everything can handle the load, because it's 100 deals coming in, but then you also got to sell them. So it's 100 deals going out, and then you got 52 weekends in a year and a couple of holidays, and
it's a lot. It adds up.
It's a lot of closings, per day. So give us a little background, Austin. You're in Columbus, Ohio. And for the people that haven't heard us speak together before, bring us up to speed. How did you find real estate, or how did it find you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. First original dream was to be in the NBA. That didn't really work out. So fell out of love with the game of basketball, and then fell in love with the game of real estate. Read Think and Grow Rich. That kind of turned me on to the opportunity of like creating what you want out of life. Then fell into real estate, started flipping houses, and about 7.5 years ago, flipped a whole bunch of houses, then realized, true wealth is through ownership. So then started stacking rental properties along the way as well. Done anything from wholesales, flips, new construction, condo conversions, and the goal now just to stack as many rental properties as possible. So that's the goal right now. So real estate, rentals, and then building the brand on social media as big as possible right now.
Yeah. So do you stay local to Columbus, or are you spread all over the place, or where are you spread?
Yeah, great question. So luckily, I was born in a very great rental market. It's got kind of entry level prices, $100,000, $200,000 houses. So for me, it was my own backyard. So all the houses that I own are currently in or around Columbus, Ohio. I just recently moved to Fort Lauderdale about a year ago. Haven't bought anything down here yet. Might pick up some Airbnbs or something, but the rest of my real estate operations is back in Columbus, Ohio.
It's a little different in Florida, isn't it?
Definitely.
A little racier up there, you got to bring a bigger bag of money.
Different type of money down here.
Yeah. So you were born in Columbus?
Yep. Born and raised.
May I ask how old you are?
I'm 28.
I hate you little young punks. I had my head so far up my, when I was 28, it wasn't even funny. I didn't even find my butt with both hands until I was 34. But I caught on relatively quick. So when did you move to Florida?
About a year ago next month. So almost 12 months now.
So were you kind of, I mean, you were there all that time. I imagine you know the town, you were born there. So you had the boots on the ground, you set up the office, you got everything. Then you decided to tell me about backing out of that business and going to Florida. Like, how did you back out and get the confidence to say, okay, I can drive all the way now to Florida and not have to worry?
No, great question. So it's honestly something I battled for a couple of years in my life. I always wanted to go to Florida, like lifestyle, right? And then what always kept me back was like, but Austin Rutherford has to be in the business. Austin Rutherford has to be the one walking job sites. Austin Rutherford has to be the one meeting sellers. And it's just like an internal battle that we fight with ourselves. And finally, a lot of things led up, some internal team issues, some desires for lifestyle. I feel like a lot of people in business get into business and then become successful, quote unquote, whatever that definition is, and then forget to go back to the why. Like my why is like freedom and to do what you want, how you want. So a lot of things just kind of led up and made the move to Florida. Lifestyle, beach, tax reasons, and weather. But as far as how the team still operates and everything, definitely have the team back in Ohio. We got project managers, we got boots on the ground, we got property managers, acquisitions that still all operate there. And the beautiful thing nowadays is we have Zoom calls, we have FaceTime videos, we have text messages. So really the year leading up to me leaving, I personally never went to the job sites anyways. So it really wasn't that much of a difference, taking that leap. So honestly, I think it's just more of a mental barrier that a lot of people go through, thinking that they have to be somewhere when you don't. If you build the right teams and the right systems, you can literally do it anywhere from anywhere.
Yeah. So it's all about our limiting beliefs, right? What we think is possible.
100%.
Because I struggled that for a long time. Today I haven't seen the last 400, 450, whatever houses I bought. And I haven't seen the people that bought them from me on, I do the seller financing strategy.
Yep.
It just takes, there's always another level to grow to, another level of understanding, it will never end if you keep growing. I imagine you could sit down and make it end, but if you're looking for another level, there's always another level. It doesn't matter where you are, there's always another level.
100%. I always got that vision of the millionaire boat and then the billionaire boat. And
I'm a billionaire now. What will I do? I guess I'll just become president of the United States. I don't. There's another level. There's always another level. So let's talk about. So how often do you go back?
So really, I just go back for more family. So family and like weddings and friends and stuff.
You don't go back to check on the business per se. I guess while you're there, you might take a look, but or do you?
Yeah, when I'm there, I'll touch in with the team. Some of my friends and business partners rent, office space for me, so I'll go hang out with them. But I don't have to go back personally to check on properties anymore.
May I ask what your portfolio looked like? How many units?
Almost 100 now. So the biggest apartment building is an 8-unit, 2 6s, and then a whole bunch of singles and doubles on top of that.
Yeah. So when did you get the idea that you might be able to own 100 houses one day?
So the first entrance into real estate, the idea of passive residual income came into my head. It was passive is money that you make without working. Residually is continuously. So money you make without working continuously. I was like, sounds pretty good. So I ended up buying a duplex as my first ever real estate deal and loved it. But then I got caught up chasing money because I got into the game for passive income, but then you start chasing money, flipping and wholesaling houses, make a lot of money today. And it feels great.
You get addicted to that big check, right?
100%. So I did that for years, bought a couple, maybe 6 rental properties over the next few years, just flip wholesale. And I finally realized that the markets can change. Flipping and wholesale is great. But what are you doing to build long-term generational wealth? So that was kind of the moment where I still flip and wholesale a little bit today, but our first exit strategy is rental properties. So, when we get a deal come in the door, the goal is to BRRRR it, buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat without any of our own money, and then keep it as a rental property. And then if for whatever reason it doesn't fit that criteria, we'll then flip it or then wholesale it. But the goal is to keep as many rental properties as possible now.
Yeah, we own or finance about 70% of our properties. And then all the money we make, I buy boat and mini storages, which is my forever play. Your forever play is just the property itself. mine, I'm making as much money, flipping, or I don't wholesale, but maybe 3%. I wholesale things I wish I wouldn't have bought. I seller finance about 70%
Yep.
of the 100 houses a year, give or take 100 houses. And then I retail about 27%, just because my acquisition guys need some jingle in their pocket. And, the best way to get them a big hit is to just go retail something and yank 40,000 out and give them their share of that 40,000. And now they're good for another 6 months,
100%.
But I was a horrible landlord. And do you have a management company? Do you just manage your own properties, or do you have a management company and you're managing your own and others?
No, great question. So I do not have a management company, nor do I manage the properties. I did for my first 3 and I hated it. So I use a property management company for my long-term rentals. And then I do have some short-term rentals, Airbnbs, that I have boots on the ground to manage the in-person stuff. And then somebody on my team that kind of handles the operations, and a virtual assistant manage the day-to-day communication, bookings, and things of that nature. So have definitely out the long-term rentals is 100% outsourced. Short-term rentals, some of my internal team manages those things.
Okay, so a lot of people are under the impression, and I'm under the impression because of my own personal experiences, but I'm wondering what you're thinking. It's really difficult at 10 or 11 or 12 or 13 or 14 rent houses, because it's not really enough to have a really stellar management company. I always thought you had to have at least over 50 to get critical mass and be able to absorb the fees and all that stuff. But I guess the fees are the same if you have one rental house or you have 50. They're just charging you so much of the rent, right?
Yeah, so usually you pay anywhere from like 5 to 15% of gross income to the management company. But I'm with you. The first 1 to 10, it's very difficult, because you get one bad rental out of those first 10, like
knocks your whole thing down.
The whole year, all income gone. So as you build it, though, that your portfolio can withstand some of those. Like we had a property this year, we lost about 20 grand on it from non-payment renovate on one house. So like if you only have one and that's the one that you get, like it's very unfortunate.
Devastating, to your career.
100%.
Actually stop you.
Agreed. So yeah, I mean the as you grow, it becomes a lot easier to manage things. Like even at this point, I've thought about like bringing management 100% in-house, because we would save money at that point with the amount of fees that we're paying to a property management company. But it's out of sight, out of mind for me, right? So I don't like live on the income of my rental properties. It's a long-term, wealth play for me. So out of sight, out of mind. If that can be managed and hold on to it for the next 3, 5, 10 years, and I can go out and build a bunch of other businesses, and build that at the same time, it's a win-win scenario to me.
So if you don't live off the rental income, what do you live off of? How do you?
Yeah, so we flip and wholesale a little bit as well. So that's kind of having cash.
It always help, no matter what. If you're building a portfolio of rentals, it really helps if you flip, your share of houses or wholesale throughout the year, because you have those $10,000 surprises, those $20,000 surprises, and you got to, like I say, get on top. You got to get enough critical mass to get on top. I used to have a couple of commercial buildings, like 2-story, 3-story little buildings, that, yep. And I finally said to myself, I either got to get in this business and have 25 of these buildings, or get out of this business and funnel all this effort to, my seller financing business or whatever. Yeah. I did have to create a note servicing company. I mean, I had to buy the $27,000 note servicing software, because at about 300 of my own notes, at the end of the year, all the reporting was killing me. It was taking 45 days of constant, my whole office was paralyzed at the end of every year trying to get it done. And I said, well, I'm either going to ship this off to a note servicing company, or I'm going to get the software that makes it easy, and I'm going to open up my own note servicing company, because if I can service 300 notes in the snap of a finger with this software, then I can service 1,000, and I can make them pay for, the cost of my people that are servicing my notes, and the cost of my software and my maintenance on the software, and the dues on the software, about $2,000 a month. The training was $5,000 a month. So I have $30,000 in the software. I was thinking, yeah, it makes it really easy, but now I got to go hire a person and take, we're about to hit 1,500 people. We only service notes in the state of Texas, but it turned out to be quite a business, you know?
Absolutely. That's incredible.
Turns out if you have about 300 notes you service, you can sell it for like 7 times. You know what I mean? 8 times.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
I didn't either I didn't even know that when I started it. I was just trying to get enough notes just so that the people that were working my notes were paid for by someone else.
For sure.
I was just along for the ride. But then, you know, turned out entrepreneurs, you have more than one business, I'm sure. You have other businesses? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ken D'Angelo told me one time, you know, he was the founder of Home Investors. He lived here. His first franchisee was here. It was his daughter, and he wanted me to be the second one. We spent a lot of time talking, but he told me entrepreneurs rarely end up with the business they start. They always morph to the path of least resistance to the most money. And it's hardly ever the idea that they started with. And I look at people and say, where are you at? Is, well, where'd you come from? And you figure out that they did that. You know, they kind of zigzagged around until they found a crack that they really liked and they took off through it, you know?
It makes a lot of, I've never heard it broken down like that, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So what's your biggest, what's a day in the life of Austin Rutherford now that he has boots on the ground, manages or operates from far away? And how many years in the business?
But coming up on 8 years in the business.
Man, you've done tremendously well for 8 years. Hats off to you, man. I mean, like, to do all that in 8 years, you are a sophisticated, driven man. I talk to a lot of people. I'm not just blowing smoke up your butt. I'm telling you, that's a good clip. You know what I mean? If you do that by the time you're 28, I'm 61. You'll probably be waving at me from the Trump's plane or somebody's plane, you know, while I'm down here, like still piddling around, because you have it going on, man.
I appreciate that, man. 100%.
Do you teach?
Yeah. So real estate's kind of like my baby. It's, you know, how I made my money, you know, got, you know, what I have. And then it's led into building a brand on social media now as well. So have over 1 million followers across the different platforms. And, you know, we have coaching programs. We have like affiliates. I have spun up other businesses off of it. So kind of like the day in the life, honestly, right now, a lot of my time is built on the brand. You know, I say there's 3 opportunities in today's world. 1 is real estate. It's created the most millionaires. It's going to continue to create millionaires. 2 is eyeballs. Eyeballs is currency, in my opinion. So social media, and then cryptocurrencies as well. But a lot of my time invested is building the personal brand. Because we've all seen it. The Kardashians, the Paul brothers. You know, if you have a big enough brand, like you can start a business tomorrow and it'd be an overnight success if you have enough people following you and you know, that believe and love in you.
So I was talking to I like to write songs in my spare time, and I'm writing songs with an artist named Chris Cagle.
Uh-huh.
And he has about 750,000 followers after an 8-year hiatus from a record label.
Yeah.
And you know, he gets paid $500 to do a 20-second video to say happy birthday to someone's husband, or you know what I mean, or I mean, a wife or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that's the and I said, well, how often does that happen? He says, I have 400 of them to do when I get home. I'm like,
that's crazy.
So you get $500 400 times for, like, you know, what are we saying here? Oh, happy anniversary to my lovely wife, Donna. Okay. Hey, this is Chris Cagle, Donna. You know what I mean? Like, so $500, ching. I'm like,
that's crazy.
Maybe I should have picked up a guitar.
That's funny.
Now, you don't want to hear me sing, I can tell you that. Just on that subject, though, I have no idea why I'm saying that, but in June, this is 2022, he's dropping his first single we co-wrote, and so listen for Even When She's Off, She's On. And then after that, another song called Take It Like a Man. And we're on our way to writing an album together. I hope we finish together, but it'll be fun as far as it goes. But he's a great guy, and it's fun to work with, and fun to have the chance to ride his coattails into an industry that I don't know anything about. So
that's awesome, bro. Congrats.
Kind of enjoying the hobby, you know.
For sure.
So what do you teach? What do you specialize in your brand? What's your brand specializing in?
Yeah, so the brand is really anything business, finance, and real estate. But a big portion of it is the real estate side. So I feel like big reason that I've had the success that I've had is a lot of people come in and they just wholesale or they just flip or they just buy rental properties or whatever it is. But having the ability to do any of the above. So, if you can go out there and you can find the deal, it's obviously the most important part. Is finding the deal. And then if you can't raise money, wholesale it. If you can raise money, but you need money today, flip it. If you can raise money and you want money in the future, then do the BRRRR method and keep it as a rental property. So those are kind of the four topics: wholesale / finding deals, private money, flipping houses, and buying rental properties.
Okay. So I have an opinion on that too. I think you got to become good at least one of those things first, because the problem is right. The reason why you need all those tools or all those strategies in your tool belt is because you're spending all this money on advertising, and not every deal fits one strategy, right? So if you had 5 strategies, now you got 4 extra chances to make some money on a lead that you might have passed on if you were just, like this. So, but I always like to tell the young ones, and I don't know, maybe, and this is just my opinion because my way is not the only way to do anything, but I always kind of tell these guys, let's get leg up. Let's become a real pro at wholesaling, and then we'll learn how to raise some private money or do something. But let's get some money in the bank. Let's get your spouse off your ass, telling you that you need to go get your job back. I mean, let's get all that stuff shut down. Just stay focused on the one thing. Don't listen to a damn thing again. Don't get spread out with the shiny object syndrome. And then once you've knocked the bottom out of that, then say, okay, I got this under control. I know how to do this in my sleep. Now let's pick up another method and another method, and then another method. That's kind of how I see it. But if you were associated with a team or a coach that could guide you down either path, I could see how that would work too. But I don't think a person could go out there on their own or just through the internet and think they're going to become an expert at 5 strategies all at the same time. I think you'd be setting yourself up to get kicked in the teeth. It's like those contractors, right? When the contractor says, what do you do? I do it all. I do sheetrock. I do plumbing. I go, oh, hell, you ain't no good at nothing. You ain't no good at nothing.
And I agree with what you're saying. What's the saying that somebody that chases everything never becomes great in anything? So I agree with you 100%. I started out flipping, became great in that, and then started buying rental properties. So agreed 100% with you.
Okay, I was just wondering if you might have had a different philosophy, but I do agree that the more mature you get in the business and the more avenues you can open, I'll even open avenues now that I don't even intend to study. I'll go buy a course for someone else and say, you're going to be my guy that chases, I'm just pulling something out there, pre-foreclosures, no one's doing it in my office. So you're the guy that does that. And here's the course and here's the whole thing. And I'll pay for you to mentor with this guy. Or virtual wholesaling. I don't do virtual wholesaling. So I want to make some more money in a different vein. I'll just open up that vein. I'm not going to learn how to virtual wholesale. I'm 61. I'm going to do podcasts and go shoot pigs at my ranch. But you know what I mean? But if I want to open up that avenue, that's how I would do it,
Agreed. 100%. I love it.
Where did you talk to us about, I was going to go to employees, but I'd rather talk about the private money, because without the funding, you're kind of stuck in wholesaling or getting the short end of the stick. My private money course is called Private Money Changes Everything. It's named that for a reason.
Yep.
I mean, if you can go out and anytime you find a deal, you can take it down, you can pick up the phone, and within a day or two, you have the money at the table. That changes your whole life.
100%.
There's no limitations on how many houses you can buy that year. That's a game changer. Talk to us about how you first started funding your deals and then how you've matured into funding your deals.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Literally, private money can 3 to 4x your business without changing anything overnight.
Yeah, nothing.
Just getting access to money. So, so when I got into the game, again, the first property I bought was a rental property. Just got a regular mortgage from a bank, put a down payment on it. Realized that may not be the smartest way of doing things. So from then to now, it's all been privately funded through private money. So my first flip was a $74,000 purchase, $140,000 rehab. So $250,000 raise to fund the deal. And people always well, who's your first person, right? You can't borrow money if you don't have experience. That's false, number one. But literally a year before that deal, I met a lady at just a RIA, just networking at a real estate meetup. It's like, hey, what do you do? Like, what do I do? We talked. She's like, I just retired. I'm rolling my IRA to a self-directed IRA, and I'm going to use that money to invest for myself. I was like, oh, that's cool. Exchanged numbers, moved on. And so that deal came about. I called my family, my cousins, my aunts. Nobody would lend me the money. So I was like, all right, what do I have to do now? So then it clicked. It was like, let me call this lady from a year ago, and ended up calling her. She ended up funding the deal at 12% and 2 points, which is crazy because I was 21 years old at the time, and never been through this before. And she funded the deal, and the rest was history after that. So that was kind of my intro into private money.
And some people would say 12% and 2 points is very expensive money, but it's all relevant, right? It's like how much, were you buying $1 million house for $250,000? Who cares what the interest rate is? If that was an exaggeration, right? But the limiting belief is also that I helped a lot of people raise a lot of private money. On the first of every month, I will pay on $26 million that I have out. Okay. Yep. So I have a little qualification. I'm not Donald Trump level, but there's a lot of people who'd like to be at my level. I have other levels to go to too, as we already discussed. But the biggest thing I have to do is I got to get these people out of their head and squash their limiting belief. Why don't you think you can get private money? Well, I'm too young. Well, I don't have any experience. I have a bankruptcy. I'm too fat. I'm too skinny. I don't speak English very good. I've only been in this country 3 years. The list goes on and on and on. It's like, okay, are you done now? Because all that's, it doesn't matter about you. Charles Manson should be able to get the money from prison. It doesn't matter how many people he murdered. If he's got a $400,000 house and he's going to give someone a first lien for a $200,000 loan because you can buy this house for $200,000, the people are either going to get paid as agreed, in your case, 2 points and 12%,
yep,
or they're going to get your $400,000 house, which is a lot better than getting the 12%. So who cares who you are?
Agreed.
The deal is, what is the deal? What does this guy get? What are you promising him to get? And what does he get if you don't make it? And if the answer to those are good enough in both cases, then you get the money, right?
100%. I always say, I get the same pushback. I always say it's not the cost of the money that's important. It's the availability of the money that matters. Like that. Yeah, I paid her a lot of interest. I made $107,000 net profit on that deal. I was 22 years old. Like that changed my life forever.
Okay, so let's go through the 3 scenarios. You don't have the money. You don't pay 12%. You make 0. You know what I mean? If you would have had the money, what would you have made? 127, 147, or you could just make measly $7,000. Because you had to pay 12%. When you have no money, you're a professional deal finder, right? And then if you have the deal in your hand, the paperwork, the contract, you're in control. You can demand to get paid. And so when you don't have money, you're a professional deal finder, contract writer upper. Is that a word? and because you're going to trade time and expertise because you don't have any money.
Yep.
You get a lot of money now, like Austin over here. He doesn't have to trade his time anymore, or he doesn't even have to trade his money because he has the connections. He has the tie-in to the private money spigot. So.
Yep. The amount of deals I've been able to do from buying from other wholesalers just because I have the access to money. Like you don't even got to bust your head, finding those deals, making the 10,000 phone calls to get that first deal. Like if you can just have access to private money, you can flip houses just off of that. So
really good point. You know how much it costs you wholesalers out there because you haven't taken a course in raising private money and you haven't mastered raising private money? It's costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe per transaction.
For real. You can assign a deal, make 10, 20 grand, or you can flip it and make 40, 60, $80,000.
Okay. All right, let's run through my scenario. Let's say I sell a house owner financing. I'm getting 10 or 12,000 down, which is kind of equal to whatever the assignment fee would be. But the guy who wholesaled his contract, he's done. He made $10,000 or $12,000. I got 10 or 12,000 down, and now they still owe me 360 payments, of which I profit net cash flow $500 a month. That's $180,000 owed to me in the future. That's how much that wholesaler lost. He lost $180,000 out in the future because He couldn't find the private money. Have I made you wholesalers sick yet? Because I don't mean to make you sick, but I'm just trying to impress on you. Like, go to someone who knows how to do private money. Go to me or go to, I don't care who you go to. My job, the goal of this podcast is to help the people out there that haven't found their financial independence figure out how to quit their job and go live and be the person they're supposed to be. I don't care if you pick me or you pick him. I'd love to work with you. If we fit. If we don't fit, I'll tell you, and I'll send you to someone else, or I'll help you find the right person. You know, you teach people how to raise private money.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it really doesn't matter who you learn it from. What matters is that you figure it out. Because it's costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars in a career.
You just need to learn it. That's the key. Like literally, raising money can multiply your business without changing anything. You don't have to send out more marketing. You don't got to make more phone calls. You don't got to hire a bigger acquisitions team. All you got to do is get access to private money. So like, and to put into perspective, like I've raised tens of millions of dollars, right? And usually it's like a one or two text messages, boom, the property's funded. I got a deal yesterday, it closes on Friday. And this is the first time like in years that I've had to like work to raise money. I probably texted 10 people and called 10 other people. And I was like, man, like this is the first time I've ever had to like actually try to like raise money before. But literally I was just scrolling through my Rolodex on my phone, and I was just reaching out to anybody that I thought could potentially have money. So like people say like, oh, well, you know, I don't know anybody. You know somebody, you just need to reach out to them.
Hey, you call anyone you know and you say, hey, do you know somebody that would like to loan me X amount of dollars on 2X worth of property?
For
you
sure.
know, and you don't have to ask that person if they want to do it. If they want to do it, they'll tell you. One of the biggest things is like, if you go to ask for me, now there's some people I can ask directly because I just know them that well or whatever, or I'm that confident. But you ask someone, hey, do you want to loan me? Can I borrow some money from you? Well, they get in the boxing stance. If you say, hey, do you know somebody who wants to do this loan? They're like,
what about me?
Yeah, they're like, yeah, I know someone, me. You know, why can I do it?
I love it. I love it.
So there's ways to talk to people to get them to ask you the question that you want to be asked so that you can talk about, they'll walk you into the room where the conversation is what you want to talk about. It's the NLP, it's canned responses.
Yep.
You know, let's do an example of one. I'm going to call you. I'm going to meet you on an elevator. Say we just met on an elevator, and I'm going to ask you what you do, and you say anything but real estate related. Okay. Wow, you're a sharp-dressed man. May I ask what you do for a living?
I'm a doctor.
What kind of doctor?
I'm a brain doctor, brain surgeon.
Really? Do you have a card? Do you like take clients?
Yeah.
I know some people that are having some issues like that. Let me have your card. So I get the card. So now I'm in control. I decide whether we ever talk again now because I have the card. And then you got to look at the card real intently and you go, you know, I almost struck out to be a doctor, but I chose a different path. And then you shut up and stare at them.
What'd you end up doing?
What did you do that was better than a doctor? How come you didn't do what I do? I do what I'm rich. What did you do? They're going to ask you. I made you ask me. Yeah. Well, I help people invest their idle money and pay them above average rates of return. And I give them very valuable Texas real estate as collateral.
I love it. How do you do that?
I wanted to tell that man that, but if I just walked up to him and told him, I needed him to ask me, what do you do for a living? So I could do my elevator pitch, right?
Yep.
And you know, then they'll say, really, are you one of those house flipper guys? Everybody wants to talk about that. Well, I said, you know, I pay rates between 12 and, 8 and 12%, just depends on what we got going, what the risk level is, but none of it's really any magnitude of risk. It's just, if they show any interest at all, then I know to call them. If they're not interested at all, well, but I still might send them a deal. Hey, do you know anybody that wants to loan $500,000 on this $1 million apartment complex?
Yep. I love it. I
mean, they didn't sound interested. They want interested, but I'm going to take I'm going to take a couple of pot shots at them with some real deals that are ready to go. And I'm just going to ask them, do you know hey, we met in the elevator, man. I got this smoking deal. Do you know anybody that would want to do this? It's like a 50% loan to value or a 40% loan to value. I like to do that when I know there's rich people. I say rich, wealthy people, successful people. I may need 60 cents on the dollar. You know, may need to borrow 60,000 on $100,000 house. But I really want this guy. I want this guy to do business with me. So I'm going to put 20,000 of my own money in. I'm just going to ask him for 40,000 in the first lien position on 100. I want to do business with him for a while. That means I'll have excuses to go to lunch with him and take him a check or talk to him about shit, because I need to get to that other 10 million that I know he has.
Yep.
Create no-brainer deals. Like, put some of your money in to meet the big boys. And then right when he says yes, I start pitching the same deal to someone else. And if they say yes, I pay him off. I already met him.
Love it.
Just walk the same deal all the way around town. You know, do as many people as you can. Anyways. I love the art of raising private money. That's really what I do for my company. That's my responsibility, is to make sure that I have enough money to close whatever comes in the door. Do you have other people in your organization that help you raise money?
No, I'm with you. You know, I'm kind of that guy that raises the money, builds the relationships. So literally, I always say we have a very similar path. Like I always say, you have to say something interesting for somebody to then be interested in what it is that you have to say. So my response is always, you know, when somebody asks me, what do I do? It always something along the lines of like, yeah, you know, I'm a real estate developer and I actually teach other people how to potentially earn double-digit returns. So same thing.
I help average people achieve above average rates of return on their idle money.
How do you do that?
And I give them very valuable Texas real estate as collateral. They either get paid or they get rich. They either get paid as agreed or they get rich. The one reason I was curious in your answer, as the head of my company, or, you know, I have a partner, but I never wanted to teach anyone or in my organization how to raise the money, because then they don't need me per se. You know what I mean? If there's one piece that could get anyone to walk, it'd be that piece. If they could get their hands on all the money they wanted to at the right terms and rate, then there's a real high likelihood that they already know how to buy the houses. They already know how to sell it. There's always this one piece that keeps them tethered to me, is that they don't have the money.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, for sure.
We actually tested our acquisition guys, and we keep our acquisitions separate from our sales because we don't want to even teach two pieces of the business to one person. Not that it really worked, but for the longest time, we just don't go there fast. But for the longest time, I was training people how to do everything, and they always left me. They always went broke because people so like Austin make it look easy, and then they go out and try to do it, and they don't understand. They just saw 3 balls in the air. Somewhere in the background, there's another 10 balls in the air besides that. Literally, they don't understand that.
Wow, you know, you made $100,000 this month. Yeah, but you didn't see how we got there.
yeah. You bought it for 50 and you sold it for 150. Yeah, they didn't see the rehab. They didn't see the office staff. They didn't see the insurance payment. They didn't see you know what I mean?
100%.
All they see is that big check coming in. They don't see the subtraction. Do you take interns?
I haven't, but I would.
Do you use VAs?
Yeah, we use VAs.
Yeah. I use a lot of VAs. I think they're great. I'm using them in my storage business. Mostly the VAs, they have like the easiest job in the world. They don't have to cold call or anything. They just answer the phones and they separate the tire kickers and the people that just want to shop price, or they want a price, from the person that wants a storage today. And if they have a person that wants a storage, they send it to my manager. I use it to take the heat off my managers.
I love it. The vetting process.
Yeah. And I used to go try to find VAs myself, but I started using a company. I'll give them a plug, 1000houses.com/VA help. Go there and they'll find whoever you want for whatever business you want. And the girl that I worked with her for a week. I just assumed she was from the United States. She wasn't. She was from the Philippines. She was in the Philippines. I was talking to her in the Philippines. I thought she was from like Dallas or something. So she picked up a Southern drawl.
People think like VAs are like just super like cheap and they don't know what they're doing. Like there's a lot of very intelligent virtual assistants that you would have no idea that are not from the US, and you can pay them $5 to $10 an hour max. And they can be like incredible people that will help you with your business. So 100% agree. Yeah,
yes. I mean, so if anyone's interested, you could get like a little interview with these guys and they'll figure out what you want. You can talk to them, but they're very affordable because of the exchange rate and all that. And these companies even offer them insurance and steady pay. And, we got a couple of rules, some regular days off and a couple of holidays, treat them like a human. That's the other thing that we talked to some VAs to find out what was really important to them. They could always get someone to offer them an extra $1 an hour, always. Yeah. What they want was to know that they were going to have a job 5 years from now, if they did a good job, and that they were treated not like they were disposable, like they were part of the team. And part of that means you have to engage them. You have to engage them on a weekly basis with a contest or some coaching or something. You got to make them part of the team. How many VAs do you have?
So, at the peak, we had like 7 or 8, including cold callers. That's what we use most of them for. But we only have 1 right now.
At the end of the year, we made our 3 acquisition guys who all did very well, by the way. The youngest guy, only in the business 4 years, made $220, and the least guy made $180.
Yeah.
It's a good living.
For sure.
And they're their own person. No one tells them to do anything. They get paid on their success. So they're pretty free, but they have to have discipline to make a living. Yep. And then, so this year they were supposed to be making cold calls, right? And you can see they were going from 200 a week down. Now they were down to like, maybe they were making 50 calls a week. It's a hard, relentless job to do year after year, week after week. So I told them all, like, you're going to have to, all of y'all have to get a VA to do your cold calling starting this year. Y'all all made the money, and we're going to make all of y'all do it at least for a quarter. And then we'll sit down, and if you don't like it, we'll change. Yeah. Well, it was going to be a VA per, this guy was going to have his VA and this guy was going to have his VA, that guy. But then they said, well, let's just get 3 of them. We'll all pool them. We'll pool them.
Yep.
And they did 12 deals in the first month during training.
That's amazing.
12 extra deals. So the VAs are in now to stay. These guys are happier than pigs and mud and I don't know. I have a lot of VAs, and they're very loyal. I like them a lot.
I love it.
Where do you vacation?
I love Mexico. I've never been to Europe. We're trying to go to Europe this year, but all over, not necessarily Mexico, but the Caribbean. And any beaches. There's the short answer. Beaches.
All right. Yeah. White sand, blue water.
There it is.
Me too. I used to like to go to Playa del Carmen, but then they put the cruise ship dock there, and it was just a fishing village, and it was wonderful, man. It was like you were there by yourself or not too many people, but now it's kind of blown up. Now I got to go to Tulum. Even Tulum blew up.
Agreed. Definitely agreed.
Yeah. Are you part of any masterminds?
Yeah. So a guy named Mark Evans called the DM Fam. Been in his for a couple years now. How about yourself?
What's your theory? Do you get with one and stay, or do you move around?
I get with one and stay. I feel like you can build better relationships like that if it's the right one, obviously.
I go to the one that I go to one because I want to accomplish a task. Like, I want to get myself out of my business. How do I do that? So I picked one for that. Then the other one, there was some other issues. So I went and I stayed a year and 2 years with that one till I got that issue solved, So I kind of go, and 2 to 3 years, you're pretty bonded with the guys.
Yeah, I agree.
You go to the next one and you meet a whole nother set of people with a whole different set of talents and probably focusing on a whole different thing.
Yeah.
At least that's how I'm doing it. Well, man, what would you say to the young guys that are coming up and this is a dream for them, but they just don't know what they don't know? What are you going to tell those young guys?
I think it's the biggest thing is the internal mental battles that we play with ourselves. Whatever the excuse is, you didn't grow up right, you're too young, you don't have experience, you don't have money.
Absolutely.
They're all excuses, but I always go back to saying it's never a matter of if this works. If you look at you and I, like, there's plenty of success and proof of concept, but people still think, like, does real estate work? It's never a matter of if something works. It's only a matter of when that thing is actually going to work. So, what I would say is, don't give up. It took me 16 months to do my first deal. If I'd have quit anytime between then, it wouldn't have worked out. But 16 months later, made $107,000 net profit, and my life was changed forever. So it's never if, it's only when.
I like to say, it's not a question of if it works. The question is, do you work?
I love it. 100%.
Are you going to work? Are you going to work at it long enough and hard enough to get it to do? Because it'll, like you said, we're just 2 guys. There's hundreds and thousands of people there, on all different strategies. I like what you said about Think and Grow Rich. That's one of the books that changed my life. I really had an aha moment. You have a college degree probably, right? Because you played basketball.
I dropped out.
Okay. I didn't. I went to like 2 semesters
Yep.
of college. So I didn't have that. And I was starting to get down on myself about 27, 28 years old, because all my friends, they had these jobs, and come to find out, my greatest blessing is that I didn't have that $100,000 a year job in 1970, whatever, 81 or 82, because they all still have those jobs.
Yep.
And I passed them because I didn't have a choice. I had to go figure out how to make some money. The cool thing was, when I figured out how to improve the money making process, I was 100% beneficiary of the increase.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. I Think and Grow Rich, Nothing Down by Robert Allen, which the man had the audacity to suggest that I could be rich in real estate with no money. I thought, I got to read this book. If being broke's a requirement, I can buy the whole town tomorrow. I'm so broke.
That's funny.
And the other one was to what you alluded to, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Because it's all about what's between right here. That's the only thing in the world that's messing you up.
100%.
You don't think right.
Though it's like 90% here and then 10% how to. You got to believe in yourself. You got to be confident in yourself.
You got to convince yourself that you can.
Yep.
And there's ways to trick yourself into things.
For sure.
One is just repetition, right? There's a reason why in Vietnam, Hanoi Jane was over the speakers at the POW camps telling our American soldiers that they were pieces of 24 hours a day on loudspeaker, because you can't listen to a message constantly and keep it out of your system, or very few people can do it.
Yeah.
And so flip. I mean, if they know that works in a negative fashion, well, it works in a positive fashion. Flip it around. Yeah. And bombard yourself with and hang around people that are and can show you how and are enthusiastic and get you. Flip that around and make your mind take a different path. So I think those are 3 good books, like you said. Think and Grow Rich, Nothing Down by Robert Allen, and Psycho-Cybernetics, just to figure out how this thing's working right here. So you can figure out you really got to watch your self-talk, right?
Agreed.
Who do you think you talk to the most in your whole life?
Yourself. Yeah.
So you got to be real careful about how you're treating yourself, right?
100%.
Yeah. I like that. Man, do you ever make it to San Antonio?
I don't, but if I do, I'll be in touch 100%.
Please. We'll do anything but play basketball.
I'm game.
Anything but basketball.
That's funny.
Okay. Pickleball, whatever, but not basketball.
That's funny.
All right, my friend. Thanks a lot for being on. I appreciate you so much. Let's talk about. I almost missed the point here. Let's talk about your course and what you have to offer. I'm going to send everyone to 1000houses.com/stacking rentals. That'll get you over to the show notes. They'll give you an explanation of what's going on, but let's have an explanation right now. We'll reiterate it over there at a later date whenever they go over there. But tell us about what you're teaching and how your program works.
Yeah. So like I said, it's kind of got 4 topics. It's how to find deals, which is, there's nothing without finding a deal. So that's the most important part. And then how to wholesale that if you want to, if you're starting out and you're looking to start stacking some money. And then if you want to grow and actually build wealth, in my opinion, how to raise private money, flip houses, and buy rental properties. So really, basically help you grow in the real estate business.
Man, it's a super logical pathway. That's how, if you sat down to figure it out yourself, you'd probably take that exact path, because there's a reason why he named them in that order. There's a reason why.
Agreed. 100%.
Yeah. All right, my friends, this is Mitch Stephen with the 1000 Houses podcast. Please go to 1000houses.com/stacking rentals. Get over there and find out what's going on with Austin Rutherford and get involved. You got to take a step. If you don't take a step, you're just going to stay where you're standing, and that's not going to work. So, what's the worst they can do to you? They can't take your birthday away. Hell, You get out there and take some chances. You're going to fall down a couple of times. It'll be all right. Get up, dust yourself off, might even get a black eye, might even get a tooth knocked out. Guess what? They can put them back. It'll all work out. All right, you guys, we're out of here. Thanks, Austin. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
brother. Appreciate it.